right, so it's been 1 week since Gamera Rebirth has been out. Missed it by 1 day, 6 days. But I actually saw the series in 1 day, in pretty much the morning. I spent the morning watching it, and I love the series. I did not do a review that same day. I did speak about it on the stream, but again, I know not everybody comes to the stream, and I still want to put my review up on the channel. And like I said, I'm doing the best I can to get videos out. I want to try and kind of get the ball rolling a little early before we get to the end of the year, which is where I expect to be more consistent on the channel for the first time in years, because I will have like on my own little studio with a door closed and everything, and I can set everything up the way I want. But anyway, it's not why you're here. Gamera Rebirth. Now, look, right out the gate, I love the show. I thought it was a very endearing show. I thought the animation was pretty good. I like the animation. I know that's kind of a personal thing with most people. So, you know, liking the animation, I think, is just an acquired taste, depending on what your style is. In terms of the voice acting for the English actor, for the English version of the show, I thought it was excellent. I was actually pretty surprised at how good it was. You know, the thing with Gamera is, if you've been watching, if you know anything about Gamera, if you watch the Showa era, you watch the Heisei era, Gamera the Brave, the theme has always been about kids. And it's been a weird mix. It's always been a weird mix of fairly violent and graphic scenes, but a focus on children. And usually the focus on children is Gamera protecting kids. I like the fact that the show did not go away from that. They understood that was the theme. That's always been the theme of Gamera, and they stuck with it, and they went with it. In fact, they went pretty far with it. And look, the show is generally, from my circles that I've seen, whether it be on Facebook, whether it be on the comment section of some of the live streams, or whether it's been on X, people seem to generally love the show. There are some outliers who don't like it for the kid theme, or just felt that the story was either too rapid or didn't make much sense. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. People's criticisms on the story itself, I think that's justifiable because it is out there. But that's one of the things I've always loved about Gamera. It is out there. Look, you're talking about a turtle that can fly.
You're talking about a turtle that has rocket boosters coming out of his ass.
Okay? That's the starting point. So anything after that that doesn't keep further going, I don't know. I probably wouldn't love it as much. So yes, you know, the story is about a bunch of kids going on a mission with the military to try and stop these monsters. And every time they seem like they're just about to kick the bucket, Gamera shows up and saves their ass. And that is not too dissimilar from what Gamera has been in the movies. Even in the Heisei era, he had a connection with a young girl. There's always some sort of connection with Gamera and children. What I do like about this show is, number one, first of all, it hits the gas and doesn't stop. You know, I know there's some people who said they felt it was boring. I don't find that, and believe me, I bore pretty easily. You got to be pretty good to keep my attention. But when I watch the show, and I've been saying this on comment sections and threads and everything, it's like a kaiju version of the Goonies. Only Gamera's like One-Eye Willie.
One-Eyed Willie.
And like Brody is like the sloth of the group, you know. It's just an endearing show. A bunch of kids that shouldn't be on a military or science vessel. A bunch of kids who shouldn't be recruited by the military. But actually, when the story kind of unfolds, and I will be talking spoilers here, it's been a week, sorry. As the story unfolds later and you find out that one of the characters named Emiko turns out to be, I'm assuming they were aliens, or an ancient species that is trying to regain the planet. She pretty much coerced them and coerced the people around her into trying to get the kids in situations where they are in danger with other monsters. The point was they wanted the monsters to consume the kids, so that way the monsters could be controllable, and which is basically the essence, and that would entail help them control the monster, and then use the monster to ravage the earth and take it back. Look, is it a little bit much and a little bit out there? Yes, but again, that's one of the things I love about Gamera. It's out there in a very different way than Godzilla. That again, it's kaiju, yes, but where Godzilla is kind of unpredictable. You don't know what his purpose is sometimes. When he comes to Tokyo, he might defend, he might destroy, he might not give two shits what he's gonna do, and he might just be guarding his territory against another monster, not necessarily saving humanity. With Gamera, it's a focus. I'm here to save the kids. That's it. And defend the universe sometimes. Sometimes I gotta fly out of space and fight monsters on a different planet to defend the universe. So
Gamera, defend the universe, defend the kids.
Godzilla, no fucks given. I'll do what I want when I want.
that's it. That's what you get when you watch these two monsters. So, but the show, 6 episodes. Each episode, for the most part, he's fighting a monster. My favorite of the ones probably has to be, in terms of design, has to be Garon. He was awesome when he came out. I liked that they made him more sleek. They made him fast. He was like this ninja. His knife head was as sharp as hell. The other thing I liked that they did with him was, if you remember in the movie, he had ninja stars coming out of like the side of his heads, where in this one it was on his spikes. So that was a cool touch. They did a great job redesigning a lot of these Showa monsters to make them look more devastating, to make them more updated, but they did not like completely, or even at all in my opinion, they did not abandon the classic design. They just kind of enhanced it and made it more, in some terms, like more intimidating. I would say Zigra probably got the most dramatic overhaul, because Zigra went from like a shark to like a ray, and that was pretty, and also really couldn't come out of water. Like if you remember in the Showa era, he looked like a shark underwater. Then when he come to land, he was able to stand up, and this one he wasn't able to do that. He could go on land, but it was a real major setback for him. So I think Zigra probably got the biggest overhaul out of all the monsters. But yeah, the show is very endearing. Now the characters, you got 4 kids. You got Brody, Joe, Bako, and I gotta get her name right because Junichi. And Junichi, Bako, and Joe start off as the core friends, and they kind of represent probably what a lot of young teens or young kids watching this would kind of relate to. Joe is like the young kid who has to grow up fast because he's got a father that's out of touch with reality, and he had a tragic death happen with his brother and his mother. Junichi is the young girl who's kind of having a hard time identifying what she's supposed to be. She's nerdy, she's extraordinarily smart. She's kind of like the girl next door you don't notice because she doesn't really do makeup. She doesn't wear dresses or anything. I had a feeling she was a girl when the show started, but they kind of confirm it later. They did a good job of at least trying to set. I'm sure some people kind of got fooled and were surprised. I wasn't that surprised. I kind of felt like, oh yeah, I think I kept saying to myself, I think that's a girl, but I'm not 100% sure, and they haven't confirmed anything. Then when they did, I was like, oh, okay. Bako is the young, innocent kid that wants to go out on an adventure, and he's got like a brotherly relationship with Joe, which makes sense when you consider Joe lost his brother. And then Brody is kind of the odd man out but new person in the group. He starts off as their bully, and it was a little annoying at first because Brody is American, and they kind of mentioned that in the first episode, and him and his friends were all like kids from different military personnel in Japan, and they pretty much made him out like racist right in the beginning. Like they were saying these Japanese slurs, and I was like, oh no. And I was a little disappointed because I'm like, are we really gonna go this route for the whole show? But as it turns around, not only does Brody become a part of the group, he becomes a pretty significant part of the group as the story progresses, which is why I say, and that sometimes that's I think this is why I like, even though these are kids, maybe you have to be a certain age to kind of get it, but it is kind of true. It's very common for bullies to become friends with the person they bully. It is very common to find a young kid who has it rough because he lives in a single parent home and there might have been something tragic. It is very common to find that kid that's not quite grown up yet and kind of still living in fantasy and wants the adventure. It is very common to find that girl who feels kind of at odds with what the common trope would be for what a girl should look like or act like when you're in school. And when you see them come together, all these different personalities that normally would clash, they come together, they get closer, they make sacrifices. Primarily Joe. I mean, they did a good job of showcase. He's my favorite character, Joe. They do a good job showcasing him as more grown up than the others. He's the voice of reason in the group. He's constantly telling them, look, we're in danger. We shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be going here. And that is perfect character development when you consider his situation. And the same thing with the other characters. Bako is the way he is because his mother has him cocooned. You know what I mean? She wants him, like, Bako is like the Gohan, the young Gohan of the show. Like, his mother just wants him staying home and studying nonstop. She doesn't want him going out. She doesn't want him getting into trouble. So it's perfect sense why Bako wants to constantly go out and escape and runs into adventure without even thinking twice. And his only conscience is Joe. And then you have Junichi, who is a part of the group and she fits in well, but at the same time, she also doesn't. And that is just a testament to her character in and of itself. She's smart. She's cute. She's very sweet. She has a lot of great personalities and then aspects about her, but nobody sees her. Nobody notices her. Nobody can see behind that exterior and see just how deep she runs. And you kind of learn that as the show progresses. And it also makes it more impactful, at least for me it was, a little bit more impactful when Emiko turned out to be a villain. Because Emiko was kind of bringing Junichi out of her shell. And Junichi was getting very close with Emiko. They were becoming very close friends. And Junichi was starting to learn how to kind of, come out of her shell a little bit and be more expressive and things like that. And then you have Brody, the typical jock asswipe that is the muscle of the group, not necessarily the brains, but he kind of balances everybody, which is kind of amazing when you consider he started off as a bully asshole. He comes in and he's kind of supportive of everybody, even Joe much later. Like, him and Joe clash a lot, but towards the end, especially after Joe makes his sacrifice, there was a certain appreciation he had for Joe. Even though they clashed, he had a great respect for Joe. And I think Joe had a great respect for him towards the end because he started to realize that Brody is in with the group. He's not just doing this because of glory, or he actually becomes friends with her. He even has a crush on Junichi, as you learn later on in the show. So just well-written kids, and like I said, it's very endearing. The show, in terms of the monster action, I mean, look, A1 for me. I thought the monster action was great. I think Gamera benefited from being a monster in an anime because he was able to do things he wouldn't be able to do in a suit. He was doing things that he was never able to do before. Maneuver, lift monsters up, toss them, all those kinds of things. And I love the fact that as powerful as they made Gamera, they didn't make him indestructible. I mean, he was at times getting his ass kicked. He was typical Gamera violence, his hand being chopped off, bleeding, being stabbed. I mean, again, they did an excellent job keeping with the theme of what Gamera is. And then on top of that, throwing in what I thought was an endearing story. Yeah, it's out there. I'm not saying it's like Oscar worthy, but the story did what it had to do. It got things from A to B. What really what I like the most is the character development. And I didn't even talk about Tazaki, who I love the fact how he was the cool cat for most of the show. And then he has that one episode where he's flipping out and he's acting like a little bitch, which I thought was great. It was so refreshing because we see that cool character a lot in anime, that suave, cool, nothing phases me character. So the fact that they had an episode where he was literally shitting bricks, I thought was great. And it was very comical. It was great. So look, Gamera Rebirth, if you haven't seen it yet by Miracle, go check it out. This is one of the best kaiju animes out there right now, in my opinion. And I've seen most of them, at least most of the primary ones, all the Godzilla ones, Pacific Rim to Black. I think I like this a little bit more than Pacific Rim to Black. Pacific Rim to Black is more dark and has a more foreboding kind of ending to it, where this one is at least hopeful, and there appears to be another season coming. But yeah, Gamera Rebirth was a blessing for, you know, tokusatsu kaiju anime that's not American, like Pacific Rim. It was an endearing story. Like I said, it reminded me of the Goonies, which is not a bad thing. And yeah, that's my review. So what did you think of Gamera Rebirth? Let me know in the comment section below how you felt about the show. Again, I know there's a lot of people, there are people out there who don't like it, and the arguments I've seen are valid. It's just, for me, I guess I've been watching Gamera for so long that I kind of know what to expect. And I like the fact that they didn't shy away from what he is, and they even took it further. So that's it for this video. This is Rob signing off for E.T.N, where we don't do news, we just talk entertainment. Take it easy.